You know, we've talked a lot about Abdul El-Sayed. I have been fascinated by his campaign for Senate in Michigan, and he sure has found himself at the center of the conversation about the future of the Democratic Party. I was thrilled to have him on the broadcast before his primary win. He is a public health official and a Rhodes Scholar, and now the Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate in Michigan. And he made history as the first Muslim nominated by a major party for a Senate seat. His victory comes as Muslim voters and candidates are becoming an increasingly visible force in American politics. El-Sayed ran directly against the Democratic establishment. He campaigned on beating back big corporations and expanding health care access and changing what he sees as a broken political system. And those positions made him a target for plenty of political criticism by the Republicans and by members of his own party. I heard some of it when I was there in Michigan. And as his campaign gains momentum, criticisms of his policies are increasingly becoming intertwined with attacks on his religion. And you know what? We saw the same thing happen with New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani and Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. She deals with it constantly. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib deals with it as well. Anti-Muslim vitriol, Islamophobia front and center. Over the past few months, the Center for the Study of Organized Hate, also known as CSOH, they found that El-Sayed's campaign gained traction. As it did, the Islamophobic comments followed in record numbers. Between June 1st and August 3rd, check this out, anti-Muslim messages averaged 155 posts a day on social media sites. And during the week he won the nomination, look at the spike. That number surged to nearly 3,100 a day. Last week, on the single day that El-Sayed won his primary, nearly 12,000 anti-Muslim posts rolled in. That was the highest single-day volume this summer. You might be thinking, well, you know what? Those are just faceless accounts trolling online. They're not. They're not. You're wrong. Some of this hate is coming from American government officials, like Republican South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. These are posts, I hate even putting them up, that she made in August alone. I'm going to spare you reading them out loud because they're deranged. And then there's President Trump. Here he is in a press conference after El-Sayed won.
Well, the one thing is we have jihadists being elected all over the place. We have this, whether it's communism, jihadism. It's a friend of mine called up. He said, you know, really, you should use the word jihadist because that's what's happening.
It's disgusting. It could not be clearer. El-Sayed's victory was not just a political upset. It was a sign of a changing America. And the backlash is showing just how uncomfortable that change can be. Joining me to discuss the implications of it all is Mehdi Hasan, CEO and editor-in-chief of Zeteo. It's so good to have you here, my friend.
Thanks, Jacob.
I want to start with Nancy Mace, and I hate even talking about it. I'm sure you've seen it. She got all this backlash, most recently for calling Muslim elected officials Trojan horses. But then, and again, I apologize, everybody, for making you watch this, but I think we should. She went on CNN and she doubled down. Let's listen to this, Mehdi.
And in the future, when our granddaughters are wearing burqas to school, we're going to look back and say,
there's no indication that that is happening on a wide basis. Folks that are getting into office.
Did you see the parade in Chicago today? Have you seen Dearborn? In Dearborn, Michigan.
An expression of culture, Congresswoman, is different than a blanket city policy.
This is a sitting Congresswoman of the United States of America, Mehdi.
Yeah, it really shows you how bad the problem has become. And Nancy Mace is an interesting example because a few years back, Jacob, she went on TV and condemned Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene in her own party for being anti-Muslim, for attacking Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar with anti-Muslim rhetoric. So she knows right from wrong. She chooses wrong. She chooses to red pill herself, radicalize herself, whatever you want to call it. And it just shows you, Jacob, something that I've been saying for a long time, which is the Islamophobia we're seeing is not organic. This is not something people are kind of all believing in. It is used cynically by Republicans to advance their careers, their agendas, to distract from failing economic policies and a disastrous war. My friend Dalia Mugahed, who's an expert on American public opinion when it comes to attitudes to Islam, she did a study which showed that Islamophobia in this country, Jacob, doesn't spike after terrorist attacks, as people assume it does. It actually spikes in the run-up to elections because it's used as a tool to manipulate public opinion. It's not organic at all, she says. It's manufactured. And you see that. We've got midterms coming up. We've got a Muslim candidate in a swing state. Surprise, suddenly everyone's Islamophobic again. Donald Trump wasn't talking about jihadists until suddenly he was reminded to by a friend, he says on the phone. I wonder which friend. So it's all very,
no
very
friend.
cynical.
Give me a break. Yeah, exactly.
Well, he doesn't have friends, of course, but it's all very, very cynical. And I think you look at the National Republican Senatorial Campaign Committee. They called him Abdul El-Sayed until he won the primary. And then he's a generation candidate, and suddenly he's Abdul Rahman Mohammed El-Sayed. They've got to say all the names, just like they used to say Barack Hussein Obama, or Trump still says Barack Hussein Obama. They know what they're doing.
And Abdul El-Sayed said, keep my name out of your mouth if you can't say it correctly. And you're so right about it being manufactured. Literally, if you go to Michigan the day after the election, these are advertisements that are being put on television that is stoking all of this. Official advertisements. This is not people offhandedly saying stuff. And you said it. It's not new. We've seen these types of attacks against Muslim politicians for years. After Mayor Mamdani won, there's a resurgence here in the city of a very public anti-Muslim rhetoric, and it's actually something that you wrote about last week for Zeteo. You called him it was a Muslim boogeyman, is what you said. Can you expand on that? Why is it that he's a boogeyman?
So for years, the Republican Party have been inculcating their base that a Muslim person is to be feared, especially a Muslim man in a beard with a long name. They did it for Obama, who, of course, wasn't Muslim. But now they've got actual Muslims they can rail against. I often point out, Jacob, when it comes to Zohran Mamdani is a African-born Muslim socialist. He's everything that they said Obama was but wasn't. So they got what they wanted. This is their kind of dream when it comes to kind of scaring their base. They can point to Mamdani. They can point to Abdul El-Sayed. They can say, look, these people are taking over our country. And this isn't just a national thing. You go to a state like Texas, Jacob, the entire Republican Party machinery is geared towards now inflaming fear of Islam, even though Muslims make up, 2 to 3% of the Texas population. The governor there this week, Greg Abbott, went out of his way in the last few days to go after airports in Texas that allow Muslims to wash before praying. He said that's religious discrimination against Christians. The Republican Party in Texas asked a Muslim conservative, this is a Republican Muslim, they asked him to leave their convention, as the Texas Tribune reported earlier this year, because they think that every Muslim there is a threat to Texas and Christianity. So that is really dangerous. And Jacob, we understand when anti-Semitism is on the rise, why that's a danger to our Jewish brothers and sisters.
Course, yeah.
We see attacks on synagogues and say, well, let's be careful about our rhetoric. We don't do that for Muslims and Islam. Look at what happened in San Diego earlier this year in May. An attack on an Islamic center which killed 3 worshippers. Could have killed 100 kids who were in an Islamic school. Luckily, they2 of the 3 people who died basically rescued them. These were 2 neo-Nazi teenagers in America today in 2026 who went in and murdered Muslims at prayer. Words, they have consequences, right? And this is the atmosphere we live in. The Republican Party is really, people like Zohran Mamdani, Ilhan Omar, they have to walk around with insane security. Ilhan Omar has, guards wherever she goes. On January the 6th, she was pulled out of the chamber with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and others, even though she wasn't in leadership, because the police genuinely feared that the mob would attack her first. This is the level of Islamophobia we have in this country right now.
And having hosted 2 specials in my prior gig about anti-Semitism in America, I thought it was so extraordinarily important that we had this conversation today. Just real quick before I let you go, I do want to point out also that here in New York City, I don't have the stats in front of you, but I think Mayor Mamdani's approval rating, it takes away from the work that he's doing, is I think as high as it's ever been in the wake of him becoming the mayor of New York City, Mehdi.
I think that's really important. And Zohran Mamdani has shown what it's like to push back against stereotypes and bigotry. Normal people don't look at Zohran Mamdani and say, that's a jihadist. And I hope they say the same thing when they look at Abdul El-Sayed, a doctor, a family man, someone who spent his life to public service. And I think it's very important that liberals, centrists, moderates, swing voters, non-conservatives speak out against this stuff, because that's really important. We know that there's a faction on the right that's super Islamophobic, racist, white supremacist, anti-Semitic. The point is, what is the rest of us doing about it? Are the rest of us taking this stuff seriously? Because I can assure your viewers, Muslims right now are the canary in the coal mine for the white supremacists in charge of this country. They're coming for everyone, just us first.
Hear, hear. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Mehdi Hasan, CEO and editor-in-chief of Zeteo.